Okay, White Woman Whisper said that white ladies should stop saying hot take because our takes are, well, they're not. And I'm inclined to agree. So this is my tepid take. If you have an audience, if you have influence over other people, if you have a social media platform, if you're a public figure, if you're a celebrity, you have zero excuse in late September 2025 in the United States to not be using your platform to advocate for democracy and against the regime. You have zero excuse to not be using your influence, your reach, your platform to help organize the resistance movement. I don't want to hear your excuses anymore about how your platform is apolitical. I said in a video, I think it was yesterday, that we're in a position where we all have to make a choice, right? Which side are you on? Timothy Snyder from On Tyranny said, you can fight for freedom or you can die in unfreedom. And it should be abundantly clear to everybody now at this point in time how high the stakes are, what we are facing. And at this point in time, saying nothing, doing nothing, not using the resources that you have, the tools at your disposal to fight against fascism, that is a conscious choice. That is you choosing to appease the regime, to try and fly under the radar. It is a choice to not contribute your resources to fighting against fascism. And that silence, that lack of contribution speaks volumes. Someone in my comments the other day said that you can't hide from history. It'll show up at your door. You can't hide from fascism. It will find you. I guess maybe this is my bias because I consider myself an activist first, but I think that nobody has an excuse to not be an activist right now, especially if you have any measure of privilege, if you are in any way protected, you are not one of the groups that is right now being targeted by the regime. You will be in the future if we don't stop this. If you have any measure of privilege and protection and you have a platform, you should be using it to organize. I don't really want to hear your excuses as to why you're not going to do that. I've really been mulling this over for a few days since the Indivisible call on Thursday, which is where the co-founders of Indivisible, Ezra and Leah, they get on a Zoom call with, I think there were 7,000 of us this past Thursday, and they talk about, what's happening in the United States, how we can organize against it, how we can organize for democracy, for a better future for the American people. I take pages of notes during those meetings, both for myself to organize my own thoughts and then also to help me better communicate to my audience about what we can do to resist fascism. Not just resist, but to actively oppose. And I want to pull up some of my notes from that meeting because I've really been thinking about this. This is me jotting down notes as Leah is talking. If you are spending more time complaining about the hypocrisy of the right than organizing, you need to reevaluate. If you are reading the news, that is not activism. If you are on social media complaining or rehashing news stories as your primary goal, that is not activism. What practical steps can you take to organize and use your platform? Stop yapping endlessly about news stories. What is your content doing to move the needle and give people actionable tasks to save democracy? Forgive all the typos. This is definitely me typing furiously as Leah is talking, trying to get down my thoughts. I went on to say, honestly, I think I'm at a point where we are all activists now, or we all should be. Making content complaining on social media is not activism. Yes, it gets people lots of money, right? It's lucrative to bitch and complain about what the right is doing. And then also to just get into arguments with other people on social media. Drum up rage bait content around political issues, rage bait content about infighting, etc. And I said, I'm just at a place where I don't have time for that anymore. I feel like there's too many people on social media who just want to argue when they should be organizing, who just want to bitch about the headlines, who just want to make doomer content because it's really fucking lucrative, who want to endlessly argue when we need to be busy stopping fascism. Right, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just at a point where I don't want to watch content. I don't want to make content that does not help move the needle, that does not help organize the resistance movement. Now, I don't think that doesn't mean that we occasionally need a reprieve where we talk about things that are meaningful to us, do a book review or talk about your hobbies or what have you, right? I think it's good to have other kinds of content mixed in, but if the main point of your content, especially your political content right now, is about how can you get that viral video and get that bag, or is just about that adrenaline rush and driving up engagement with back and forth arguing, or is just posting really scary headlines, because that absolutely will go viral, right? Unfortunately, the algorithm really pushes the scary kind of, doomer content. Then I just don't have any place for that. I think that we are at a point, probably should have been at a point a while ago, where there is not time to waste. There is a race that is happening right now. The Trump regime is trying to consolidate their power and strip away our rights and make sure that they have a controlled outcome. They absolutely dismantle the possibility for there to be free and fair elections in 2026. There's still going to be elections, but they're trying to suppress the vote, gerrymander, disenfranchise voters, and then manufacture an outcome that will make sure that the fascist Republican Party stays in control against the will of the people, because we know that Trump and the Republicans are deeply unpopular, and that when we have free and fair elections, when everybody gets to exercise their right to vote, there's no hope for these motherfuckers, right? There's no hope for the fascists to stay in power. That's why authoritarian regimes always try to dismantle free and fair elections. They always try to disrupt and prevent the people from exercising their right to vote and actually having a representative democracy. Because if we have representative democracy, then we're not going to fucking vote for Donald Trump and the Republicans who are closing our hospitals, who are destroying the economy. The value of the dollar is like in the toilet. While inflation is up, utilities are up across the board, grocery prices are up across the board. American people are far worse off under fascism, and we know it. That's why they want to suppress the vote. Anyway, sorry for that tangent. I personally don't have space for you. I personally don't have patience for you anymore. I don't want to hear your excuses. If you have a platform, if you have a reach, you are either staying silent about what's happening in this country, or you're just like reading the news. You're not giving people actionable steps that they can take to resist fascism. If you are not helping the resistance movement, if you are not using your platform to help organize in small ways, in big ways, I don't really have patience for you. To me, that says you are giving tacit approval to the regime. Your silence speaks volumes. So not to continue to frame this negatively, let's put a positive spin on it. Please, this is your exhortation. This is me urging you, use your platform to help organize, mobilize, and empower the American people to defend our liberty, defend our democracy. If you have energy, skills, resources, time, expertise, money, a platform, you have to be using it. This is the American people versus the fascist regime of Donald Trump. If you are not using what you have to educate, empower, and mobilize the American people, please rethink what you're doing with your influence and your platform. Please join us. Please use your resources. We need all hands on deck right now. I will conclude here by reminding folks that October 18th is No Kings 2. Go to nokings.org to find the event that is nearest you. So far, there are more than 1,300 events registered, and more being added every single day. This is going to be the largest single day of protest in the history of the United States of America. It's going to surpass No Kings 1. There are protests happening every single day in the United States. There are millions and millions of people resisting in all kinds of ways. And if you feel lonely and isolated and you feel hopeless, I really encourage you to plug in, connect with other people, because courage is catching. We draw our hope from other people. We feel empowered watching other people stand up and resist. We get our strength by standing up together, linking arms and holding the line, and then pushing back against fascism. No Kings 2 is a wonderful chance, not only for you to get the morale boost that you need, right? We all need to be thinking about our longevity in the resistance movement. Please understand that you have a right to feed your own empowerment, nourish your own hope. That is a really good thing. Showing up for protest days so that you can draw strength and encouragement from other people, that in and of itself, that's a good enough reason to show up. But more than that, it is a mass public demonstration to all of the pillars of support under the regime that the American people are massively opposed to what Trump is doing. His days are numbered. A post-Trump era is coming. Invite your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, folks from your church congregation to show up on No Kings Day. Realize that they are not alone. They're standing in solidarity with millions and millions of Americans who love democracy. And then help those folks get plugged in. What are the next steps? No Kings Day is the entry point. This is where you get your toe in the water, where you build those connections with other people. And you get plugged into Indivisible or 5051 or whatever your group is, and you learn how to level up. All have something to contribute. We all have to make a choice.